Welcome in. If you're watching live, we greatly appreciate it. This is Matthew coming in for another episode of the UFL Insiders. Tonight, we got a special guest, Brycen Alleyne. Brycen, how you doing tonight, man?
What's up, man? I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate the attendance. It's good to see you. Coming from my Houston years a couple years ago, man, it goes a long ways to have you on the show, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, most definitely.
So, man, you got quite a history when it comes to football, spring football. Really don't want to beat around the bush too much. I want to get straight to the point. You got some people commenting in. They're pretty excited to see you, hear you talk, man. Got to show them off. WRBW, yes. That's good, though, dude. The support is what everyone needs, so it's good to see it already. We ain't even started yet.
Yeah.
So coming in, you're a Delaware State Hornet alumni. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
We know you had some time at the FCF, Fan Control Football League, the XFL, as well as the USFL. So for people who may not know you or want to get to know you a little more, I guess just kind of share your background, a little bit more about yourself, and just you as a person.
Yeah, man. Shoot, I'm from Wilmington, Delaware. Small city, born and raised. Obviously high school there, play high school ball. Only had one Division I offer coming out of school. After that, went to Delaware State. Ended up starting as a freshman. Originally went in to play receiver, and I want to say maybe after like the third game, I ended up getting moved back to running back because that was my original position. Ended up starting after game 5, and then, was kind of one of those guys on the team that was just a factor on all phases of the game, whether it was special teams or on offense. And then ended up starting after game 5, and then it kind of just went from there. I'm the number 3 all-purpose yards leader in school history. I've had uncles who I've surpassed on the leaderboards and stuff like that as well. And coming out of college, did my pro day at University of Delaware. We had a joint pro day. That was the year they had Nasir Adderley. I think they had a couple other guys too. So, he got drafted by the Chargers and everything. Ran the fastest 40 that was in the building that day, whether it was University of Delaware guys or Delaware State or whatever school anybody else came from.
How fast?
I ran a 4.41 that day.
Woo-wee.
Yeah. And I think the next one, I ran a 4.41 and I believe a 4.43 or 4.45. And then one of my teammates, he ran a 4.43 as well. I think after that happened, I had a couple teams that were kind of interested, but just didn't know, much about me. I didn't have an agent coming out of school. Didn't really know much really about anything coming from a small school. And did a couple CFL workouts that summer after I graduated. Was supposed to go to Hamilton Tiger Cats that year, but I think that year the CFL went into a lockout. So was not able to come up that year. So got right into coaching. And, that's kind of what my passion is outside of football. I love coaching kids, more so on the training side. So I was a head strength coach for a high school and coach running backs and stuff like that. And then, that following year ended up signing a contract to go play indoor ball with the Iowa Barnstormers. Went out there, was cut the day of my birthday that year, and what that was, wow. 2020. Yeah, I was cut the day of my birthday that year. Kind of same situation. They were just like, hey, we just, want to go a different route. Cool. Came back home. COVID happened, so the whole league and everything world got shut down. So came back home, got back to grinding again, still training other people. And then signed another contract to go play out in Arizona with the Northern Arizona Wranglers. Played one game out there, same situation. They wanted to go a different route. Got cut again after game 1. Back home, working and everything again. Just kind of right back to the grind. Not afraid, not shy of that work to kind of get put in. Got good film out there those last couple of years. Came back, signed another contract to go play with the Sioux City Bandits. And previously to reporting to camp, I was late to camp because I ended up going to Atlanta to do a workout with the Fan Control League. While I was in camp with Sioux City, Fan Control offered me a contract to come out and play. Immediately left, came back home for like a week to train again, and then hopped back on a plane to go to Atlanta. And that that was probably one of the best decisions that I made. It was a lot of exposure, a lot of eyes on that league, a lot of pro guys, with some names that was out there. We had, we had T.O., we had Johnny Manziel, we had Martavis Bryant. And, I wanted to be a part of that. So, that year ended up getting franchise tagged by the Glacier Boys and ended up being the all-purpose or the all-time leading rusher in fan control history.
That's awesome.
Last year that they were active and stuff. So and I think I was one of the only players to be nominated for Offensive Player of the Year that wasn't a quarterback. That indoor game is quarterback heavy game. So it was definitely exciting for that. And then did the first XFL workout in Maryland. And then ultimately was drafted to the Houston Roughnecks in November. Made the team, everything. Inactive game 1 that year, and kind of like the rest is history after that. And that's that's how everybody knows me now, and that's what I thrive off of. I go off of that a lot, knowing that I was in active game 1. They didn't really know what to kind of do with me, and then as soon as I was activated after that, it was kind of up from there.
Yeah, your career in 2023 was a good one, and you can look at your stats now and see how you did in general. I mean, on 43 attempts, and this is according to footballdb.com, on 43 attempts, 193 yards, yards per game, 21 yards per game, only 1 touchdown for the season. I think that was that backflip touchdown.
Yeah, I actually got 1 call back too. I scored against Seattle, and that one got called back.
But you were heavily utilized in 2023. It was apparent in most every game that the Houston Roughnecks played.
Yeah, most definitely. It was more so like, we had Max Borghi. Max Borghi was a starter. Great dude, great player. And, he took a lot of the reps that first game. And then going after that, it was like, finding ways to kind of insert me into the offense. Our offense was, definitely run and shoot, air raid, all of that. So the guys in the backfield, we were heavy in pass pro, heavy in getting out in space on routes and everything like that. And I was good. I was one of the better players in terms of getting out in space, one-on-one matchups and stuff. So, that was how I was primarily used, but I was still effective in the run game as well as in pass pro. And, that was ultimately what, helped me make the team was, being able to be, especially with my size, being able to be good in pass pro, being able to be good out in space against linebackers and anybody else that was bigger than me, and being able to get up and just do it again.
How tall are you? I think 5'6", is that right?
Yeah, I'm 5'6".
Wow, dude, that's it. I've seen you in person a few times, but it doesn't click just because
I look a lot bigger in pads, man.
Don't we all, sir? Yeah, I was just curious, but obviously you can hit the holes, dude, because they wouldn't have you running the ball if you couldn't handle it. I've seen you in action as well. So, I mean, in terms of the XFL 2023 season, you had a decent. The Houston Roughnecks looked pretty good in that 2023 season.
Yeah,
y'all's team was solid. You had Coach Wade on deck. I mean, you had a team that was rolling.
Yeah.
Let's go into 2024. You got picked up by the Brahmas. It was the same thing. You had Coach Wade again. Yeah. What kind of explain what happened there? I mean, I know your attempts dropped. I seen you. You mostly did special teams, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But I noticed a big decrease from 2023 to 2024 in the way you could have been utilized. And that's speaking from someone that followed the Houston Roughnecks very closely in 2023. Right.
Yeah. Shoot. So mostly, I'll start from the beginning. Obviously with the merger with the USFL and the XFL, and Hines Ward and I guess his staff with San Antonio kind of dropping out. Our whole staff from the Houston Roughnecks ended up getting placed onto the San Antonio Brahmas. So my whole offensive staff went over to San Antonio, and concluding the XFL season of 23, it was kind of known that. I was going to be one of the guys to get brought in. Obviously, there were no promises because of the way, that draft pool kind of went with the teams that didn't make the merger. So, I was one of I think we took maybe one person per position from the Roughnecks roster to come over to San Antonio. So, obviously shout out to Mark Lilly Bridge, the GM from Houston. I was the only running back to get brought over from the Roughnecks team. And, it was, coming from my standpoint, I'm thinking about how my touches went in the XFL and 23 being running back number 2. I'm thinking like, all right, cool, 2024, my year, to kind of really establish myself as a top guy on the team, as a top guy in the league, especially with the new merger and everything. And, like I said, not shy to work or anything, not shy to competition. So I knew they were going to bring in some guys, and I knew that it was going to be some competition. And, coming into it, it was kind of one of those things where I just kind of felt left out. Wasn't really sure what my role was on the team anymore. There was kind of no real communication to me about what my role was anymore. So it kind of started during camp where I kind of started realizing things were just a little shaky. It wasn't how it was when we were in Houston. And I get it. New league, a lot of pressure, all of that. And, a lot of good competition. Shoot, we had John Lovett, we had Ant McFarland. And they, as we can see from how 2024 went, great players. And they snapped this year. All kudos to them. And my thing was just, I just wanted more opportunities in camp, and I wasn't given those opportunities for whatever reason. And it was kind of the same way throughout that first half of the season. Going into week 1, I think I had 0 snaps in week 1, 0 snaps in week 2. Week 3, I think Ant got hurt that game. And it was kind of the same thing. Had a conversation with the staff, just wanted to know what I could do better as a player that I maybe wasn't shown in camp that I showed the previous year. And, just how I can touch the field more. I'm a competitor coming off of the year before. I had big expectations for myself. A lot of other people had big expectations for me as well. So I just kind of wanted to know what I could do better to get those opportunities that I saw in the previous year with that same staff. And, things just kind of didn't go my way. There was kind of, I guess, a agree to disagree type of thing of what my role was on the team. They had a different vision for who they wanted me to be and how I was going to contribute to the team, which is fine. I still definitely appreciate those guys for bringing me back in. I've had conversations with Mark Lilly Bridge during the season after I got released, as well as a little bit after the season as well. And, I was definitely rooting for those guys. They went to the conference championship, went to the league championship. So, I was invited out to come to the game and everything like that, just because of, the relationship that we all had. So, it was just kind of one of those things, I guess, where I just wasn't a part of their plan for that year. And it was kind of known to me that, or told to me that I was really just going to be able to contribute on special teams at the time. And, the staff liked who they liked. So, that's just kind of how that went. And I guess, we went our separate ways. I got released after week 5 or 6. And then, as my story kind of went on, I'm no stranger to the grind, came back home, or not came back home. I officially moved to Dallas. So I'm out here now, just went right back to training, right back to working out and everything. And, obviously exploring what my other options were for that time being, as well as, for this summer and the next season.
So you're using that for motivation. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't even say motivation. I'm very self-motivated. I don't really use a lot of extra pieces to kind of motivate me. And, it was a lot of adversity there. Adversity has been going on with me all throughout my life. So it's kind of what I'm used to. And, we're here today because of the adversity that I overcame. So it's just kind of like a good cycle where it's like one of those feelings where, I've felt this before and look what happened when the adversity came, how I went over it. I was cut from 2 indoor teams to being a guy in the Fan Control League, to being drafted to the XFL, making SportsCenter, ESPN top 10, top 10 plays. So, no stranger to it. I'm very familiar with this process, very familiar with the things that have transpired over, the last 6 months. So, yeah.
True. I want to read some of your achievements from 2023.
Yeah.
Number 2 on SportsCenter, top 10 plays, week 7. Number 3 on Roughnecks offense. number 5 amongst XFL RBs, 4.5 yards per carry. Top 10 XFL rusher at PFF. One of 2 top 10 RBs to make the final UFL rosters in 2024. You were drafted by San Antonio during the XFL USFL merger, and you started 5 games for San Antonio at kick returner.
Yep. Yeah,
so,
that was a big thing. Definitely. I think the one thing that I always tried to glare at was being one of 2 guys out of the top 10 XFL running backs to make it into the merger. You know what I mean? It was a lot of really, really good guys that were in the XFL in 23 that, didn't get a shot right away or didn't make the final roster after camp and everything. So, I took a lot of pride in being one of those guys because, with the merger, it limited a lot of opportunities. A lot of guys didn't have jobs at the end of the day. And, I was one of the few that was lucky enough to make it past camp.
So at this point, you're training still, and you said you're a coach. You coach football, I guess, and you train?
Not right now because, relocated to Dallas. I was living in Delaware and coaching in Delaware and everything like that. So now, right now, living in Dallas, I train kids, train adults. Same thing, just fitness classes and everything.
Gotcha.
Like that. That was one thing that I always did outside of football, even during football, no matter what. Even in fan controlled, I was interning for our strength department. While we were here, having different conversations with our strength coach about receiving another certification in strength coach. So that was really my thing outside of football. And, I wanted to continue it out here in Dallas. That's why I chose to kind of relocate out here. A lot more opportunities, a lot more, all the guys who train in the off season, all the pro guys who train in the off season, they come to Dallas, better weather, better opportunity. And so that was overall my decision on why I wanted to come out here and, get a little piece of that because it isn't much in Delaware. I was one of the main guys who was doing a lot of the training out there. So I kind of wanted to expand outside of football being out here.
That's awesome, man. It's cool that you have all this going outside of football. I mean, you're ready for the football, but knowing that you can just jump into your career or whatever you're going to work.
Right. Exactly. I like to say I'm all in every direction. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that, at the end of the day, I'm getting my workout in, but I'm also training other people because that's what I want to do in life. At the end of the day, I'm studying, I'm trying to get certifications. I'm at different places. I'm connecting and I'm networking with different people out here as well. Just try to put myself in the right position for my future outside of football.
I love it. Love to hear it, man, because a lot of people could get down on themselves very easily with last year. Hearing that you're motivated and you're not negative about it. You're just positive, ready for the next challenge. You're going to step on up.
Yeah, most definitely. It's just, I'm blessed to even be in a position, right now, even all of the negative stuff that has happened, me being released and everything. I'm happy to say that, well, at least I made the team and I played X amount of weeks to be released. I made the team. I wasn't sitting at home. I did get drafted 2 years in a row. So, I can't be too upset. It's just one of those things. I just always look at the positive side of find positivity in everything that kind of goes on in my life.
Yes, sir. It's just business. It's important to remember that at the end of the day. Yeah. Let's talk about the UFL 2024. And I just want to ask you a couple questions before we talk about the actual showcase event.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the XFL 2023 season going into the UFL 2024, what's some differences or what's something that really stuck out for you that was different about the change or the merge of these leagues?
I think I don't think there was any different in terms of gameplay. I think the competition level was fairly the same. There are really good guys who play spring football who just didn't get an opportunity to stick onto a team in the NFL or the CFL or anything like that. So I don't think the competition level was any different. The only change I think in gameplay, like rules wise, was the kick return outlet. And I think that I like that one. That was the one thing that I was very, very not surprised, but I loved that decision to kind of go that route with our kick returns instead of how it was with the XFL because it was more like traditional style, which was what I was obviously always used to. So I think that was definitely the upside of the league with the merger. But I don't think there was anything in terms of production or on the field or anything like that that was any better or worse. I think the only thing may have been just on like behind closed doors, I guess in terms of like our living arrangements, our transportation and stuff. Because the XFL, we were definitely very, very spoiled. We lived in the hotel the whole season. That could be a gift and a curse. We lived in a hotel the whole season, transported to and from practice every day. So, we didn't have any extra expenses. And then now with the UFL and the merger, we took a lot of the USFL, their rules and their standards and stuff. So with that, it was like we had to transport ourselves to practice. We had to find our own housing after camp. And I mean, now it's just more expenses. We're getting paid just a little bit more, but we do have more expenses. So it was kind of, like I said, a gift and a curse, but I don't think there was anything that I can necessarily really complain about compared to the XFL. Training staff was good. And, it could always be better dealing with spring football. Gear was good. Training was good. We had food catered to us during camp for all 3 meals. And then during the season, it was, I think only lunch was catered to us. During the XFL, I think we had all 3 catered to us.
Wow.
So that was kind of, the difference. But there was a lot of money put into the XFL. And, I guess I want to assume that that's why it's no longer here now, just because of all of the amenities that they had for us, which was a good and a bad thing. So I think UFL will last. I think it was a good product put out onto the field, and I don't have any real complaints about it.
That's a good way to wrap it up. That either way it goes, it's. I like to hear what you're saying and how you think about it, because it was a part of our discussion back when the merger was happening was like, hey, these guys are going to be making technically less. You are getting a housing stipend, but then again, it's not covering the full price of rent. We know that.
Yeah.
So those were all things that we talked about in the media, the differences. So it's different to see that, that was a real life thing you had to deal with.
Yeah, most definitely. It was, I think the biggest struggle was for a lot of people, we were all out here. Every team was out here in Dallas. So let's go, 70 players per team during camp. So 70 players for 8 teams. And then, we had our last week of camp. And then it was, I think like cut day was on like a Wednesday or a Thursday. And then once you're cut, that was the last day of camp. And then you had like that Friday, Saturday. And I think we had to be out of the hotels by that Sunday just because of what the league rules were. But then it was like, I have to make sure that if I make the team, I have a living arrangement, but I don't know if I'm going to make the team or not. And then I have to wait till cut day to see if I make the team. So it's like, I don't want to dish out any money on like a security deposit or anything for living arrangements. And then, you mess around, get cut. So it was a lot of scrambling going around with different guys. I know I reached out to different people on like Airbnb, and they're like, oh, we have another player. Are you in that league? We have another bunch of players who have reached out to us. So it was definitely a scramble trying to figure things out like the week of, and within like 2 days of finding out, okay, cool, I made the team. Now I got to hurry up and find somewhere to live. Or at least I'm looking around, getting some numbers and stuff like that together. So, I think that was the only part about it that was a little shaky, just because of trying to hurry up and transition from the hotel to an Airbnb and then trying to figure out if I was going to make the team or not. So I think that was that was something definitely that a lot of guys had to deal with. And, in terms of location, you had to find a good location. You had to make sure I just ship my car out here so I could get to and from practice and meetings, and, just making sure that all of that stuff was done in a timely manner, as well as just being aware of my time.
Do you have a family? You don't have to.
All my family's back in Delaware and everything. So, it was kind of, I ended up living with my one of my teammates, Justin Smith. He was with us with the Roughnecks. So, me and him had got real close, and with the Roughnecks, me and him both HBCU guys, played against each other in college. And, we connected as soon as we came back to San Antonio. We was like, hey, we're going to make sure that once the season's over, we got our living arrangements together. So me and him was in the hotel room every night trying to figure it out. He's reaching out to people. I'm reaching out to people. So it was definitely real shaky at that point.
It's got to be easier being a man than having to drag your family along with that as well. That's why I asked that question. If you had kids and a girl or a wife, that could be a little more challenging than what it sounds.
Yeah, I didn't really have any issues with that. And I came out here, I knew kind of what was going on, so it was kind of right to it. And once I'm in that space and camp and stuff, I'm really focused on football and just trying to make sure everything out here is good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, you said the kickoff return was different for the UFL. And
yeah.
To me, I thought an observation that was funny was the fact that, the UFL was using that normal kickoff return. And then the NFL started using the XFL kickoff return. And if you just saw the preseason game the other day.
Yeah, I watched it.
And everybody like us were like, yeah, that's the XFL kickoff. And
yeah, they don't want to give the XFL any credit for that. Neither do the fans. They're all like, oh, the new kickoff is stupid. But it's like, if you're a real football fan, you realize that there hasn't been many returns in the previous years. Like, there are so many touchbacks. Kickers are kicking it to the back of the end zone now.
Every time.
What I'm saying? So this allows us to actually get some type of return. The format is kind of crazy with the 5-yard apart, but you're going to get a return. It's 100%. You have to. You know what I mean? So I love it. I love the opportunity that it just gives the game a little bit more of a challenge, and it gives it more game. Like, I want to see the opening kickoff. I don't want it to be a touchback. I want to see something happen. So I'm excited for it, and I use that a little bit as leverage as well. Like, hey, I've done that in the XFL. So, what I mean?
That's important to remember, man.
Yeah,
that's something you can't forget, whether you go in and teaching some other guys how to do it or whatnot. Right. It doesn't matter. That's a legit skill right now that, who knows, they may be calling you, brother.
Yeah, we'll see.
Any other opinions about the 2024 UFL season, just compared to the 2023 XFL season before we move on?
No, I don't. I mean, they were very familiar. Nobody's really gonna notice anything different unless you're in front office or unless you're a player who played in the XFL. Because the UFL is really, it's kind of spearheaded by the USFL. So we took a lot of their rules and everything in terms of, behind closed doors and stuff. So you wouldn't really know unless you're in it. And for the most part, it probably won't really affect you as much other than, like I said, the housing and the transportation. That was something that was different, new to me.
Yeah. I mean, from my observation, just from the outside, you could tell the XFL, the old XFL or the XFL conference cities, they're very much still XFL ran. And then when you go to these USFL cities like Alabama, like Birmingham, you can see it's very much USFL ran.
Yeah. I mean, I think a big thing, like you saying, I guess I would say, fan wise, we went out to Memphis and, it wasn't much out there, not a lot of fan base out there. And, as soon as you go to Arlington or somebody else who was in the XFL car, you come to a San Antonio game, it's a lot of people there just because, we were actually in our markets in 2023. So that definitely helped a lot of the XFL teams a lot. Everybody in the USFL who came in with the merger, they still have their fan base and everything as well. But, it was just a lot different. You could tell the difference in terms of the fan base.
That's a good observation as well. And I could tell that also from visiting different cities,
right,
depending on who they were playing and who was visiting. I know the game you're talking about in Memphis, the San Antonio crew was louder than all of the Memphis.
Yeah, they came to every game. They was at every game. I don't know how they did it, but they were there. They were sure. They were definitely there.
Oh, they were there. They came loud and ready. That's the Horns Forward podcast is the crew I'm talking about. They represent, dude. So yeah, there's some big fans. Much respect to them for what they do.
Yeah, most definitely.
Got a comment. Well, Bulls on tour. It's from XFL Mike G. He's a San Antonio fan. That's what they called their tour.
Yeah.
And they really did it too. I met up with them in Memphis at the game, and the legit fans for sure.
Absolutely. They almost remind me of the Houston fans. I don't know how they do it. They're gonna make it. They're gonna follow you. They're gonna keep track of what's going on. So I mean, I was definitely appreciative of that. I come from a small school, so there ain't no real outside of the student body or outside of the family of fans, or alumni maybe. So that was definitely different.
Does it make the difference as a player? I mean, seeing those guys come.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You just know that you have the support there, and you know that people care at the end of the day. So I go up and I speak to them. I reply to comments. I reply to DMs and everything. Just because I'm small, like I said, small school guy. I'm appreciative of the little things. The only people who were my fans were people who legit knew me. My family, my friends, and my classmates and stuff like that. So people who don't know me from a can of paint, but know I wear the jersey and know I make plays and stuff, supporting and traveling to each game and know my name and just being out there. So I was definitely appreciative of it, and it helps a lot.
I figured so. Just wanted to hear it from your standpoint, see what you thought. Let's hop in to talk about the showcase. So you participated in the UFL Houston Showcase, and what was this, 2 weeks ago? Is that correct? 2 weekends ago?
I think it was last weekend. It was
last weekend. Yeah, yes, it was last weekend. Yes, sir. So how did that go? I mean, have you done one of those in the past?
Yeah, so I did the first XFL showcase. That was in Maryland in 2022 after my fan control season. So I was definitely familiar with how they were ran. I know that the showcases are, I want to say, like outsourced by a different company who comes in and like does all the timing and does all the times, does all like the preparation and setup and stuff. So, I was very familiar with that. I hadn't done a showcase or like combine style workout in 2-3 years. So, definitely still familiar with it. It was obviously I've been training and everything for it. So it was very good. It was a lot of very eye-opening, again, just because it's been some time since I did it, to see, the guys who are coming out there, giving it a shot, who are out there competing for an opportunity. And, just like how we just spoke about with fans and everything, the core Houston fans were all there, and, they all remembered me and everything. As soon as I posted about me going to the showcase, they're like, "We'll be there. We'll see you." And then when I had posted on Instagram that I was in Houston, they DM'd me right away. "Where are you at? Are you here? What time?" And I ended up meeting up with that group and everything too, having a conversation with them about the showcase. Kind of the same thing that we're doing now, just kind of, picking my brain about the league and how everything went, and what's my thought process about going into this season, what were my plans for postseason and everything too. So, it's just dope to be a part of that. Like I said, not shy of the work that has to be put in. So, I was focused being there, focused going through the drills and everything like that. The only thing that kind of sucked about it was, that Houston weather, man. The Houston weather is crazy. So, we got there. I want to say the showcase started. We started like kind of registration around like 2:30, and I got there around 1. And as soon as they finished the registration, like everybody lining up to go into the stadium, it started downpouring. So it downpoured for probably like 15, 20-ish minutes. But it was cool because it was right before like we were kind of supposed to start. So it was kind of in the middle of everybody getting all their gear on, kind of getting themselves together and everything. And then, we went out there. We went through warm up, went through drills, position drills. And then in the middle of position drills, it started lightning. Like, they had lightning in the area. So we had to clear the field, come back off for like 20, 30 minutes, and then go back out, finish the drills that we were doing, and then get into like all of the testing stuff. But then there was like another storm on the way. So they kind of had to speed everything up and cut some stuff out. So we didn't really get to finish a lot of our drills. And then I think we cut out, the only thing that we did was the 40 in the actual testing. So like, we're supposed to do like our L drill, and then we're supposed to do the triple broad, but those got cut out because of like the incoming weather.
Gotcha. So in terms of testings, I mean, y'all ran through some things, but because of the weather, you couldn't do as much as you're supposed to.
Yeah. So like I didn't, The only thing, it was a lot of people who sat out. I sat out as well of running my 40 because of the way that, we were going through everything and then had to come off for 30 minutes. And then there was no warm up to get back into the drills. So it was more of like hey, we gotta get going. We're gonna finish these drills and we're gonna straight into testing. So it was kind of like rushed a little bit just because, obviously everybody wants to get their money's worth and everybody wants to get an opportunity to get some good tape out. For those who had it recorded and the different teams who were out there watching. So, a lot of people went out there, kind of rushed their warm-ups and stuff. And, I didn't want to rush anything in my process. So I finished my regular drills and then, watched everybody else run their 40. And, at the end of the day, I've been in the league, I've been in the XFL, and I have film and stuff. So, if my speed ever was a question, I have the film to kind of prove it and, a good resume to kind of prove it. And if you need me to come in and run the 40, I'll come in and run the 40. But I just wasn't going to risk myself getting hurt in, a very sensitive time in my off-season process. I could get picked up at any moment and, then I would have, some sort of recovery and all of that. So I really didn't want to go through that. So that was really just, like a business decision at that point.
Makes sense. And you are different from most of the other people that participated, I'm sure, because like you said, you have that film, you have that experience. Some people are playing just to try to get that right there. And you already have it. And damn, dude, watching 2023, a lot of them highlights are looking good too. I'll tell you.
Yes, I was just like, hey man, if my 40 time is in question, please just watch the film. I've ran my 40 before. I have all of that up there. I ran my 40 at the XFL Showcase. It's kind of all the information is all attainable, and they have all the information as well. So, it kind of was a no-brainer to me, obviously for my body as a business decision, and as well as, I have the resume to kind of give you everything that you need out of it. So, really just a no-brainer for me not to do it.
Yeah, and showing up, you're showing up. You're letting them know, hey, I'm still here.
Yeah. I didn't want it to be one of those things where I'm kind of just banking on what I did, where I've been. I didn't want to be that guy that kind of sit at home waiting for somebody to call me or waiting somebody to remember who I am. So I was like, okay, cool. It's no stranger to the grind. So let me get back out there. Let me put my name back out there, remind you who I am. And, that's kind of how it went. I had a conversation after the camp with Will Lewis, the new GM of Houston. And it was funny because we were in the middle of a drill, and the drill kind of like my finish was towards him. So I was like finished through, and he was staying at the middle. And like as I finished, I went right up to him, introduced myself. And he was like, oh, like it's good to put a name to a face. So I'm like, it was kind of good being able to same thing, like put a name to a face, kind of show that I'm not just waiting around for an opportunity. I'm out here, I'm working, I'm, sending film out, trying to network, trying to connect and everything like that. So, I got everything that I wanted out of the showcase, minus like, a few drills, a few reps that I just internally wanted to do, but, talk to the people that I wanted to talk to, kind of showed face, showed my talent again. And, I felt bad for a lot of the other people who were there who, were banking on that opportunity, banking on the drills, banking on the different testing. And even a lot of the coaches that were there, when the rain came, a lot of them left because the first portion of the showcase was the defensive portion. And then the second portion was offense. So, I saw Coach Wade there, a bunch of our defensive coaches a bunch of the San Antonio defensive coaches were there that I spoke to as we were kind of transitioning in and everything. So, I felt bad for those guys that didn't get a chance to kind of really showcase their talent and, paid their money to be in it, traveled to be in it, and whatever sacrifices that they had to make to be there and, couldn't get the full thing out of it. So, as long as you were there and, you put film on tape from that showcase for what you could do, it's kind of up in the air with that.
So I was looking at an old post. It says 275 strong was at that event? I mean, did
it
it look like 275?
It was a lot of people. I want to say it was about it was about 30 running backs.
Wow.
I'll tell you that. It was about 30 running backs. The receivers are always it's always a lot of people, a lot of receivers. You know, everybody plays receiver, and I think the way that they were going about it, I had one friend who I was training with who was in there, and he was like, man, I probably only got about 4 reps because it was so many receivers and so many quarterbacks. So it was definitely a lot of people there. I never really expected to be a lot of people, but it's always a lot of people. Even my first one for the XFL at University of Maryland, about 30, 35 running backs as well. And I'm like, I didn't even know this many people play running back anyway. So it's definitely funny seeing it. It's like, I didn't know this many people play running back to begin with. So I don't know why it's 30 of us that are out here.
It's interesting because I talked to a lot of people last year that attended some of these events. And then this year, you're the only one I've really spoke with in terms of sit down and interview.
Yeah.
But like I've seen the guys at the bottom, like you speak of, that are trying to do anything to make that name. And then I see you. I mean, you've got that name and you're still pursuing it, dude. It's super cool to see how humble you are, honestly.
Yeah, it was definitely humbling. You know, being there and, you know, being around guys who've, you know, obviously never really got an opportunity. You know, I've been one of those guys, and I still feel like every year I'm one of those guys who I'm, you know, one opportunity away from something. So, you know, it was good to kind of be there, talk to those guys who recognized who I was. You know, I had a couple guys like you've done this before, or you've been in the league before, and I'm like yeah. And they're like, well, why are you here? I'm like, hey man, like I'm right here with y'all. I'm trying to make a team too. So, you know, it was good kind of being able to give some knowledge to a lot of people who have never done a showcase before, who've never been in any of the spring leagues before or a professional team before, to kind of give them some pointers on how to go about it. You know, a lot of guys out there were, you know, nervous and, you know, didn't really know how to react to certain stuff. And it's just like, hey man, you've probably been training for this. I'm sure you didn't just get off the couch to come here. You've been training for this. You went outside running routes. All you're gonna do is come out here and run routes. So it's the same thing. So it was kind of good to feel like a vet, you know what I mean? Like an older guy on the team to kind of help some guys through their process and everything. So felt good. Definitely felt good.
I mean, that's legit. You are a vet, honestly. Whether you admit to it or not, I believe you are, just from seeing your adventures, man, as you went up and up.
Yeah, most definitely.
I had a couple questions. Let's get with XFL Mike G. He said, do they teach the drill? Or are you expected to already know? Have there been guys that weren't prepared?
They do teach the drill. So we definitely go. So I'll give it. So for the running backs, we were going through bag drill. So we get a handoff, run through the bags, cut off the coach. And, you know, he explained the drill, and then we had somebody walk through the drill so that we can see it. And then, you know, obviously coaching through it. If guys were, you know, messing up during the drill, just like, hey, reminder, this is how it's going to go. This is how I want it done. And it's definitely been some guys who've been out there that, you know, I was like, man, like you just wasted all that money. You just wasted money to come out here. But, you know, I can't really knock anybody for wanting an opportunity for at least, you know, I mean, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
True.
You know what I mean? Whether or not you know it's going to go in, or whether or not you were prepared for that shot, you know, it's definitely been some people out there. Yeah, it was somebody out there in baseball cleats. It was, you know, I mean, people just, you know, some people aren't prepared. Some people have never done it before, whatever the case may be. But I mean, crazier things have happened. You know, I mean, the NFL is signing people who have never played football before. You know, people who played rugby, like you've never played contact football before. You know, they're signing people who, I think the Eagles had an Olympic hurdler or something on the team. So, you know, it's one of those things where definitely crazier things have happened before. People have come from different backgrounds. You know, third world country. You know, they had the NFL Europe. There was another program that they had too to get guys who were from out the country. So, you know, I don't knock anybody for coming out there and trying their hand and you know, I mean, taking opportunity. it's there for the giving. Anybody can apply. You have to be accepted. Whatever film that you have, you submit it and everything. So, I can't really knock anybody for wanting to do it. But at the same time, there are definitely some people who were out there that, definitely were questionable.
Yeah. I know in my experience, I spoke with a few who, we're talking like one guy was 38. He hadn't played in 3 or 4 years. And he went to one last year. And I never heard from him, so I'm guessing it didn't go real well.
And the XFL was called the League of Opportunities, so I mean I definitely can't knock anybody for trying and getting the opportunity. You can't say you didn't try. So
I agree, and the thing about that, the payment that you got to pay for that, they refund that if you make a team, correct?
Yeah.
They did last year. I don't know if they do this year. Last year they did though, for a fact. They waived it, but
maybe last year. Yeah, I'm not sure.
It said it on the website last year.
I think it did. I think it said on the website this year on this year as well. I want to say, I believe it was if you were possibly offered a contract right then and there.
It's like at that point they're offering.
Yeah, at that point, like on the day of, I think if you were offered a contract like right then and there, I think they refunded you back your money. I'm not sure if they can keep. I don't even know if they can keep track of the people who did a showcase and made a team. Like, that's a lot to keep track of.
I agree with you. I thought that was a good deal last year. Now thinking about it, it's a little catch-22. You really got to read the fine print on it.
Yeah.
What? So how much was it?
Was it $265?
Yeah, it's the same as last year. It's almost the exact same.
Yeah, and I believe that's the same thing that it was for the XFL as well. I think XFL might have been $275 or something like that. So it's it's always within that like $200-300 range.
Understood. So still talking about the showcase. I mean, for you personally, you got what you wanted out of this event.
Yeah.
So that was a question I was going to ask, but we basically already hit that.
Yeah. I had a conversation. The GM for the Roughnecks. He was obviously familiar with who I was and everything. He just wanted to know kind of the breakdown of, what was my situation with San Antonio. That was kind of the big question, especially the year that I had in 23. Everybody just kind of wanted to know what was going on. There was nothing kind of said. And I told him the same thing. There was no bad blood between, at least not that I know of, between me and anybody else on the staff. Definitely supported the guys, watched every game after. And, it was just kind of one of those situations where I just wasn't a fit for the team anymore. Wasn't kind of what they wanted anymore. And, I had a conversation with what his plans were for the Roughnecks because, he cleaned house as soon as he came in, cleaned house, picked up a lot of guys and everything. So, on my end, I just wanted to know what were his plans going forward. In his offseason process, what was he looking for, and really just kind of to familiarize myself with him and kind of be put a name to a face. Hey, this is me. I'm Brycen, and I just wanted to have a conversation with him face to face rather than online or anything.
Makes sense. And those conversations go a lot further than what people know. Most of us that have done any kind of business arrangements or so, we know this. But I mean, like hearing you talk, it's cool to see that you're an athlete. You're a notable athlete, and then you're also a normal person.
Yeah.
I mean, people at home, if you're listening, you can apply what he's saying to your life in different degrees.
Yeah, most definitely. It was just, I'm big on just communication. I didn't want to leave out of there without at least saying hi, without at least shaking his hand, shaking somebody's hand. I introduced myself to the head coach, Coach Johnson. Just the same thing, put a name to a face. My name is one of those ones that it's pretty familiar, and it's not like a household name, but you've heard it before. So you're like, why is he, I wanted to be one of those things. Well, dang, he was in the XFL, he was in the UFL, but he's at a showcase. Why is he at a showcase? So, okay, let's dig in a little bit deeper. Let's figure out why, let's have a conversation with him. Let's watch his film. So that was really my biggest thing on being there. It was one of those, like, let me show face, let me show talent, let me show that I'm still out here working. It's not one of those things where it's like, I'm back, or it's like I never left. You just kind of had to be reminded a little bit. You had to be reminded again of who I was, what I bring to the table, and everything. So that was, like I said, being there. Number one was my number one priority. Being there, obviously showing what I can do was number two, and then introducing myself and showing face. And I wish I would have got there earlier for the defensive portion to see all of the other coaches that were there. And do the exact same thing. So definitely got what I needed out of it, minus the bad weather, minus, me a couple of drills that I just wanted to do because I'm here. Why not? So, definitely got what I needed to get out of it.
Awesome. Good to hear, man.
Yeah.
So, you got any other opinions or thoughts on the showcase? We'll wrap it up on this subject once you're.
Yeah, no, not really. It's definitely just at the end of the day, it is what you make it, regardless of how many people are there. You have to do very well on every rep, or else they're just not going to pay attention to you. You're going to be, like the question I was asked, are there people there who don't know what they're doing or never done anything before? It may not be that they've never done it before, but they just may not have been training for it. Now you just look like a regular guy who just showed up thinking he could kind of get an opportunity and just be here. You really have to show that you care about your career, you care about the process, you care about being here. You're not just here just to say you went here. So that's really my biggest kind of thing to, really anybody who's watching, anybody who has any aspirations to do anything in life, you at least have to look the part, and at least have to know what you're doing, because that's half the battle right there. If I at least look like I know what I'm doing and I at least look fit for the job, that's half the battle, right? I'm at least going to get looked at. I at least want people looking at me. I may not do the drill right. I may not catch the ball. I may run the wrong route, or I may slip and fall or something like that, but I looked like I knew what I was doing. So at least he had eyes on me just in case I did the right thing. So that was really it, man.
Hey, I love it, dude. I hold that same thing still with media and podcasting. Show up, act like you know what you're doing, the rest falls into place.
Yeah, act like you're supposed to be here, man.
I love it, man. I love it. So you had a talk with the staff from Houston, Will Lewis, CJ Johnson. Let me offhand opinion, what do you think they're going to turn that team around?
I think so. I think it was just one of those, on the outside looking in, I'm not sure why the year went the way that it did for them. They had a lot of key pieces, and I don't believe they were getting rolled during the year. I don't think they were getting rolled during the year. They were just, like a big play away, from really turning that thing around. Shoot, I went to the Houston game when they played San Antonio. I went to that game, and they almost beat San Antonio that game. And it just kick return coming down, very big, really big kick return coming down. San Antonio causes the fumble, get the ball back, kicks a field goal. San Antonio wins the game. You know what I mean? So, it was just kind of one of those things. And I guess this year just may not have been their year, and they even got a few guys who've gotten opportunities in the NFL in terms of workouts and tryouts and, mini camps and stuff. So, it's not like they didn't have any pieces or anything. It was just a way to kind of cookies crumble with them. So I'm definitely excited for them. Just with that being my first opportunity in spring league. And it looks like Will Lewis has a plan. He's on a mission to turn it around right now. It's not a rebuild. It's just, hey, let's do this thing right this time, and let's kind of go from there. So, it definitely looks like they're on the right track with the different pieces that they've been picking up. And he has a vision for them. So, I'm definitely excited to see, what comes with that.
For sure. I just wanted to see what your opinion was, especially being around these folks, in person, seeing how they act around players, what their plans were. All very interesting.
And even just being on San Antonio's team, watching Houston, being a player and watching it, and then the previous year when Will Lewis was with San Antonio, watching that as well. It's just really one of those things where it's just dang, that's just one of those teams. You got that team in every league that something like it was the Detroit Lions, I think like maybe 2-3 years ago, where it was like they're not losing bad. They just can't find a way to win. So it was definitely one of those things where like you pick up on the energy of the staff. Great energy from Coach Johnson. I love the way he talks to his players, talks to his guys, and Will Lewis. I was talking to the Houston fans right before the showcase, and they were saying the same thing. He's on a mission. He has a vision, even in terms of the fan base. So I like the way that he's approaching his job and what he wants to accomplish with his team.
I like it, man. I like it because I'm kind of like you. I have a soft spot for Houston. It's not that I'm following and loving them anymore, but in 2023 I was obsessed. You guys, I was following you around everywhere you went to every game.
Yeah, a lot of energy, man.
And it was a good time. But yeah, it's cool to see you tell me something that I want to hear. And then a lot of Houston fans are sitting at home wondering, like, what the hell is happening with this team?
Yeah. I don't know what happened with them, man.
It's all good. But as long as the changes are made, there was a lot of folks calling for Johnson and all his staff to be fired and yada. And I think, hey, give them some time, man. Let this team build. It was a new thing. They got shifted into a new city. Let them build. Let them do their thing, and we'll see what happens this next year.
Yeah, I think people get spring ball and a team, like an organization that has to build chemistry and trust in different people. They kind of get that confused because when you're thinking about professional football, it is not always the same team every year. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Maybe like the same like core guys here and there, but it's not the same team every year. And with them coming from the USFL and everything, like a lot of that staff and a lot of those players coming from that league, like you don't know who's been around each other for however long. So it's kind of hard to kind of get things clicking in a matter of 4 weeks of training camp. So yeah.
Yeah. You can tell too, whenever you guys first start, it takes a few weeks for you to kind of line in and work with each other.
Yeah. And they look good. We scrimmaged. We had like a scrimmage against like a joint practice against them early during training camp. And I mean, they look good. They look good. I was praying on the downfall because I'm like, hey man, we came from Houston. We're on San Antonio now. We didn't like the merger and all of that stuff. So we're like, hey man, but they came out looking good. So I had high hopes for them to definitely compete this year. So yeah, I don't know.
Seems like, in my opinion, they built their team around a few guys that had some injuries, and it kind of just lug around. And by the time they caught back up on their feet, it was too late to really find that team identity.
Right.
Hopefully, we'll see it this year.
Yeah, I think so.
Speaking of questions, so DeMarcus had a question. He said, how hard was it to gel with the offensive line without having preseason games?
It was not hard at all. Being a professional comes with, adaptation. Like you got to be able to adapt to a lot of different things. And at the end of the day, that we're in practice for however long a day, especially during camp. Like we're going every single day. We're going to meetings. We're meeting twice a day during camp and then going out to practice. And then, we're all in the locker room together. So we're having those conversations with each other. We're all watching the same film. And, as a running back, we're in the O-lineman room, multiple times a week after practices, watching film with them, getting adjustments on, how they feel about a certain thing. If somebody's pulling, he'll let us know, like, hey, listen, if that guy comes crashing, I'm going to do this. So just be ready for it. Like, don't be surprised by me doing X, Y, and Z. So it's very quick. We all learn how to adapt and to adjust. So I wouldn't say it's hard at all. It's just a matter of, just getting to know the guys and knowing that, this guy may be different than whoever you played with before, but we're all very fast learners no matter what. When I think during the season, Alex Millette had got hurt, our starting center for San Antonio. And then we had another center who was in there, and it was the same exact thing. Like we had to adjust fast, but as a pro, that's what we do. We have to adjust fast. And, as practices is going, he's getting reps with the ones, he's getting rep with the twos, they're definitely always rotating. So no matter if somebody doesn't start or not, you've already kind of been familiar with their game just by watching them. We go through inside run, we go through, handoff drill, we go through 7-on-7, we go through different periods of team period, half line, and all of that stuff too. So you get to learn the different players, whether or not where they are on the depth chart.
Yeah, I like that answer, man. I really do, because a lot of people think it's more X's and O's and plays. And I mean, from what you're saying, it's a lot of relationship building, a lot of knowing people's tendencies, what they do, how they do it. So good answer. Good answer.
Yeah, most definitely. It's just about building trust, just knowing that guy is going to do what he says he's going to do. They have to have the same thing with all of the running backs as well. Even the quarterback. The quarterback knows that when I'm in a game, you got to hand the ball off a little bit lower because I'm a little shorter than everybody else, So you kind of got to adjust to the different things. So it's just kind of one of those things, where that you just kind of learn to adjust, and you learn your teammates, learn your players and everything like that. And you're just aware of who's in the game at that time.
Understood. Let's see. We had a comment from Mike. Talked to some folks in Houston after the meet and greet. CJ has earned a shot to turn things around. So they did have a meet and greet last week, I believe.
They had it. I think it was the day before the Houston camp. Might have been like that Saturday, because the camp was on a Sunday. And that was what the Houston fans were telling me too, is that, they had a conversation with him during the meet and greet. Him and Coach Johnson were there, and, it was all good vibes from them. So that was at least the information that was relayed to me. And from what I saw being there as well, I agree.
Yeah, when the first game they had, I attended, and we went to an event like this. And I mean, man, I talked with so many players and coaches. Mm-hmm. I know it would never have the opportunity to do that with NFL guys. I mean, we sat there and talked for 2 hours. Marvin Moody, good dude. Hope to get him on the show soon. Defensive player. Really watching that guy. I mean, him, I think we're a little bit buddies now because of that whole situation. But those meet and greets are awesome. That's all I'm going to say. If you guys are listening at home and you have a chance to go to an event like this for your team, definitely do it, because it helps you get to know these guys and these players. And you can tell people what you think. Just don't be a rude ass about it.
Yeah, we had ours for San Antonio, and I liked it. It was definitely different because we didn't have one, and I don't believe we had one in the XFL. We didn't have, Well, we had I think before our first game, it was kind of like a pep rally at City Hall in Houston. And that was kind of, it wasn't as, I guess I would say, it wasn't as like intimate as
Agreed.
The San Antonio one was. It was in a space. We went to like an event hall. It was in a space. All the players got up, introduced themselves, spoke a little bit. All the coaches got up, spoke a little bit. And then it was kind of like a mingle event in there. So that was definitely a lot different than the one that we did in the XFL in 23.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because I went to a few events, and then it seemed like to me you didn't hear about these events till last minute in 2023.
Yeah,
but there wasn't much participation from fans or players alike. Everybody was like, okay. This past year it's been a little different for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. I think they did a good job with the the promoting and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the more you can get in these cities and have a presence, a relationship with the actual fans, that's how you become successful and popular in these spring leagues. You don't want to end up like, I guess, Memphis, where they have a following, but it's just not very big. I mean, when I went to Memphis, dude, I was going to bars and restaurants, and nobody knew who they were. And we're right down the road. We're like 2 miles from Liberty Bowl. So hopefully they can get that addressed that way this year. Rolling on, we had a comment. Brax said, what are your thoughts on the merge? Brax, we already talked about that there at the beginning, probably around the 10-20 mark. So you have to rewind and check that out. But I don't want to make you rehash that again.
I actually think that's my brother.
What's up, man? Hey, it's cool that he's interacting.
He's only 10. Was he 10, 11? One of them.
Look at him. He wants to know. You got to sit him down, man. Walk him through it.
I definitely. I think he's just thinking of random stuff to ask.
That's
he
awesome.
knows he knows he got his own view on the merger. He didn't like the merger neither.
He said 10.
Yeah. He didn't like the merger neither. Me and him talk all the time. He's always sending me videos and different. He sent me the merger before I could send anybody the merger. So he follows it. He follows it way more than I do.
Hey, we'll appreciate the support and you watching the show, Brax. 10 or not. Sorry for the cussing, man. See, this is why I try not to cuss on the show much, because you got kids watching. I'm over here being a bad example. My bad, Brax. My bad. Well, guys at home, let's see. You got any more questions before we roll off the air? I have one more question waiting. And this is from Josh Lafferty. And Josh, we're not going to have the answer to this. He said, "Will AJ McCarron be back?"
Who knows?
Yeah, we don't have the answer for that, buddy.
He got a lot of football left. I'm sure he wants to play in front of his kids some more.
Yeah, I would say just watch the Twitter and or the X, and it'll tell you.
I don't think anybody will know until we report to camp.
They'll keep that on the low. Huh?
Yeah, they're gonna keep that on the low. We didn't. I don't think anybody knew this year. If he was coming back.
It was like right there at the last minute. I mean, it was like that week, I believe. Wow. So you got another comment. Brax still going. He said it's fine. Appreciate it, man. Well, Brycen, dude, I appreciate the appearance, the conversation. It's been a good talk. Got to know you better. Got to know what you think. Really wishing you the best of luck this season. I hope we see you on a team. I don't care where you end up, dude. I'll be supporting you. Keep hustling and doing your thing, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate everything. Appreciate you and your platform and having me on and stuff. It's definitely big for spring football, as well as those underrated, under the radar players. Like myself, no matter how much whatever success that I've had, in the past, and it's like I always got that chip on my shoulder for being one of those players with all the different adversity and stuff. And there's more people like me, who
definitely
need a platform to kind of come on and just speak and kind of speak their mind, talk about their story, and talk about what their plans are, regardless of if it works out or not. You know what I mean? So, I definitely appreciate you and your platform and, what you bring to spring football.
I appreciate that, man. And we'll keep hustling this way for sure. We do it for the love, just like you guys do.
Yeah, most definitely.
So I totally get it. And much respect for just keep rolling, dude. I mean, you're one that could sit and wait, and instead you're pursuing, and it's awesome to see. Seriously, hope people at home, if you're watching, like, this is the hustle you got to have for real life to be successful. Also, there's just no way around it.
Yeah, man, definitely.
I know you're like, just shut up, dude, but I can't help it, man.
I got to for sure. Like I tell people I'm a youth mentor, athlete mentor back home in Delaware. So I mentor a lot of different like high school athletes and stuff. And I'm the oldest of 8. I'm the oldest of 8 siblings. My 2 younger brothers. My brother is right now. He's at Army. He's on a full football scholarship at Army.
Wow.
My other brother, he's playing football. He's playing Division II football and everything. So I've been around different people who've seen me go through what I've been through, but also kind of am able to have a little bit of success and stuff. So at the end of the day, I always tell people like, you have to really, really love football to keep going. There's everybody knows the small percent, was it less than 1% of high school or college athletes make it to the NFL. You know what I mean? And whatever the percentage is that even get paid for their services to play football and to continue to live and, feed their families or anything like that. So, like I said, I've been cut from 2 teams, played indoor football, getting paid $200-300 a week. And, it's definitely a grind, and it's definitely like a want to, and you really got to want to play football and to kind of grind it out a little bit and kind of go through the adversity of people not believing in you and I mean, that's really it at the end of the day. People just don't believe or don't know they have their preconceived, ideas of you and just may not want to give you that opportunity. But, when you get those opportunities, just take advantage of them. I'm an opportunist. I just want to take advantage of whatever opportunities that are given to me and kind of prove myself right rather than prove other people wrong. Like, I know I'm good. I know I have film. I know I can contribute and everything. So it's just a matter of getting the space and the opportunity to do so. And that's just what everybody else has to do. If you really love football, you got to make a lot of sacrifices. And, I've made sacrifices for my career off the field to pursue the things that I wanted to do on the field. So, you just kind of got to want to do that and kind of got to take everything with a grain of salt and just keep going at the end of the day.
Well, man, you're very humble for what you've done and who you are. And like I said, I appreciate the time, the effort, just the hustle. I mean, I can seriously respect it, man. And whether you're coaching football or training or playing on a team, either way next year, man, good luck. And hopefully we talk again, see how you're doing, check in. You would be surprised how many people look at you as a role model. I mean, even people in your own realm of things within the spring leagues. So just keep it up, bro. Seriously. Thank you again for coming on. It's been an honor to have you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Most definitely.
Yes, sir. We'll talk again soon, Brycen.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Brycen Alleyne, great running back. Appreciate the time, the energy tonight. It was a good conversation, so appreciate him coming on again. He's one of my athletes that I favored last year, so having him on is big. So good stuff. Seriously, thanks, Brycen. Y'all, many of these athletes are like Brycen, and they need the support. And whether that's just a comment on a show or follow them on social media, I mean, do your thing and support them and see where they go, because this is really what's going to get you more into these spring leagues also, in my opinion. So follow him, check him out. I've had it running at the bottom. I'll have it in the show notes as well, the links to see where he's at, and also some of the links to what we watched tonight and talked about. So check that out. If you watched through the whole show, thank you so much. It is greatly appreciated. If you're watching after the fact, thank you as well. Do me a favor, like, follow, and share. It's key to keeping things up and making it look good. So please do. Thank you again for sitting on here tonight. If you sat here for the full hour, it was a good show, so I enjoyed it. As far as another show, next week I'll be off. The following week I'll try to have something scheduled, whether it's UFL Insiders or the AFN interview series. Not really sure which one we're rolling with right now. We're kind of just bouncing back and forth. I don't really want to do a show unless there's something worth having a show. So like tonight, this is worth having a show. But to talk about, I don't know, UFL to NFL athletes like that, I don't want to have a show about that. Maybe eventually, because there's a lot right now. Let's see where they end up. That's really what I want to know. Guys, if you want to interact, message me on Twitter, Facebook, X, whatever. If you have an idea for a show, just want to talk and ask a question, please do. Love to interact with some fans. It's always an honor to jump on here and have a show and have you watch. So thank you again. Let's see. Thank you to UFL Board and the UFL. I appreciate the UFL Board for sharing my content and partnering up. And thank you to the UFL for letting me cover the league. It's an honor. So greatly appreciate it, and hope to keep doing it as time goes. I'm really not going as hard as I did last year. Just trying to conserve my energy. That way when the season hits, I'm not wore out. So if you're wondering why we haven't been just doing 2 or 3 shows a week, that's why. It's just taking my time. 1 show a week is good for me. If we do 2 or 3 a month, that's good for me as well. Either way, don't get paid for it. So it's all for good fun and love. So check social media for our next show announcements. As always, they will drop a few days before then, and I'll let you know what's going on. Thank you again for watching, interacting, and supporting these players in the leagues. I'm Matthew Tyler. It's always a good time. Thank you, and we will see you again soon. Not really sure how soon, but soon. Thank you. I'm out.
Go hard, go home, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home. Touchdown like an end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard.